welcome back to our channel. My name is Naz.
And I'm Alba, and we are currently living in London. If this is your first time watching us, you may not know that we recently moved back to London and the city has changed.
It's changed a lot. But in this video, we're going to talk to you about what it takes to move to London. Yeah. We're going to talk to you about paperwork, so visas, talk to you about housing, transportation, how to meet people, and a bunch of other different things. Make sure to check the stamps because we're leaving it right here. You can skip right ahead to the section that interests you the most.
If you guys didn't know, we are currently running a business called matuto.com where we are helping expats move to London. So if you want to learn any more information about some of the things that we're saying, make sure to sign up for free on matuto.com. But without further ado, let's get into it.
If you're coming to the UK, the first thing you need to worry about is your visa. Now, ever since Brexit, not even European people can come into the UK to live without at least some sort of paperwork. And so the first step is to understand what type of visa you will need to get. Most people get an employment type of visa. But if you go onto our website, you will see that we have a link to all of the available visas, from the Global Innovator to Heritage Visa to Family-Based Visa. There's a bunch of them, so check it out.
There is a number of countries, and we will leave the list on the screen, that can come to the UK for up to 6 months on a visitor pass. But if you do want to live in the UK or in London, like Naz said, you do need some sort of employment visa or other type of visa. Secondly, housing. Renting a flat in London, it is not easy. Right now the housing market is in crisis. There is too much demand and too little offer, so finding a place can be really challenging.
Yeah, it's expensive right now. Interest rates are up, landlords want to make the most out of it, and energy prices are also up a lot, which means that utility bills can go up to £300 per month for a household. Now, what you first need to know about renting in London is that there's different ways to go about it. Do you want to rent a room or do you want to rent a flat, right? If you want to rent a room, you're probably better off by using spare room. If you want to rent a flat, maybe you want to go to Rightmove.
But the most important thing that you need to know when you are trying to look for a flat in London is that they are gonna ask you for a bunch of documentation. The first one being you have to prove that you have the right to rent in the UK. And for that, you need to download the share code from the UK government that basically verifies that you have all the documentation in order and you are a legal resident of the country.
Definitely check the housing section in the Matuto website because we will tell you exactly what are the documents that you need and that will be asked of you if you want to rent a place here.
Other things that they might ask you for are proof of income or financial statements to make sure that you can afford to pay rent every month.
And most landlords will also run a check on you. This is the referencing part to make sure you don't have any bad credit or if you haven't had any situations in the past where you didn't pay your rent. And one of the things that I really don't like about renting in London, but you need to get used to it, is the fact that when you do a viewing, chances are there will be other people doing a viewing too. It may be 5 of you, maybe 10 of you. And very often, the landlord will get to choose between who gets the flat. So there's a bit of a bidding war happening, right? If the flat is £1,000, maybe you'll submit a proposal at 1,100. Maybe someone will outbid you. And that makes it a little bit stressful as well.
That also means that you need to act fast when you see a place that you like. If there are other people viewing the place with you, most likely a few of them will put an offer in, so make sure to be the first one in the door to get the apartment. Now, when you are choosing your apartment in London or trying to find one, the easiest and fastest way to find a place is to narrow down the top neighborhoods that fit your lifestyle, your budget, and your criteria. London is super diverse. There are so many types of neighborhoods. Further outside of London or in the center, don't exclude the areas surrounding London because there can be really good affordable areas with good connections to the center that might be perfect for you. If you wanna discover and explore a bit more of what are these neighborhoods in London, we actually have a neighborhood section on matuto.com where you can see the average prices of the apartments in different neighborhoods because they totally vary depending on the popularity, the distance to the center. You can find a place that is half the price in another neighborhood, so make sure to check that out.
Yeah. Now let's talk about banking. If you move to the UK, you will need to open a bank account. In the UK, there's a number of different banks that are traditional, institutional, where you go to an actual branch and they will ask you for a bunch of documents to prove that you have the right to live in the UK. But also there's digital banks, right?
Yeah, so because you will need to have an address in the UK where you live in to open your bank account in one of these local branches, what a lot of people do and what we recommend doing is coming with a digital bank into London or into the UK, like Revolut or Monzo or Wise, where you are not getting ripped off for exchange fees. You can use your card. I think a lot of them even can accept your payroll going into that account until you are able to prove all these documents and open an account in a local bank.
Something you'll want to know about the UK as well is taxes. Now, we won't go too deep into this topic because we don't want to be providing any sort of advice, but what you need to understand is how taxes work. For the first certain amount of money that you earn, there's 0 tax on that. And then for the second bracket, there's a certain amount of tax. And then for the third bracket, there's even more tax that you'll have to pay on your income. Rather than telling you, we're just gonna put an image right here where you can see what those brackets look like.
And this is for income tax. There is other type of taxes, but the majority of people only really need to worry about the income tax that they're going to pay through their employment. And then there is a national insurance contribution, which you pay to have access to the national healthcare services in the UK, and it's compulsory. Everybody does have to pay that, but it also means that you don't have to pay for healthcare and you can access it through your contributions.
This will be deducted from your salary automatically. So your employer should be making these deductions. So you don't have to worry about paying it yourself. However, if you're from a certain country or depending on your visa, you might have to pay an upfront fee to use the national healthcare services. So we also have this information on our website, so make sure you check that out.
Let's talk about transport and getting around in the big city of London because it's really far. The first thing you need to know is that transport is amazing, okay? Don't be afraid about living far away or having to commute long distances, because London has train, tube, buses, overground, whatever you're asking for, you've got it.
And honestly, traveling 30 minutes to go to work is actually really good and rare. So account for 45 minutes to an hour, that's absolutely fine. Some people get put off by the idea of having to go for 45 minutes just to get to work, but in London that's absolutely normal. And once you get into the routine, you'll realize that it's not that difficult. It's just something that you kind of do.
Yeah, and in terms of pricing, some people want to get a travel card, which essentially is a monthly or weekly travel pass that you pay for once and then you have access to transportation unlimited. However, this is quite pricey, and sometimes it's better if you're not planning to travel back and forward many times during the days. It's better to just tap with your contactless card or your Oyster card in London. And what we mean is you don't need to buy nothing. You go with your contactless card when you enter the transport, you put it, and then it charges you when you exit it. It is the best way. London does have daily caps, so they cannot charge you more than a certain amount for a day. And once you reach it, you can use the transport as many times as you want.
Again, the exact amounts in the website, we're not going to go through them. But yeah, the point is that you don't need an Oyster card or a travel card. You can just tap with your normal bank card. And one pro tip before I forget, City Mapper is the best transport app that you will get in the city of London. Sometimes the tube map can be a little bit confusing for people who come here for the first time. So if you get that app, it will tell you exactly what the route looks like, and it will give you the best tips on how to optimize your route.
It'll tell you how much it costs. So yeah, definitely download it. And another pro tip, since we're on it, don't underestimate London buses. They are the cheapest form of transportation, and especially when you're moving around the center, it's very efficient. You don't have to be in the crowded tube, but rather you can probably find a seat in a bus. And if you sit in the top deck, you will get amazing views of the city of London.
It's basically like doing tourism for a very cheap price.
For £1.65.
And the thing about buses is that if you get on the first bus, you tap in, within an hour, you can jump into however many buses you want without paying any more. So your card won't be charged even if you tap into another bus.
Yeah.
So take that into account.
Highly recommend. And the last thing that we're going to talk to you guys about is meeting people. Obviously, London is a metropolitan city and there is a lot of people around all the time, but it can feel a little bit difficult to, as adults, you know, meet people outside of work. Some of the tips that we always say is explore new hobbies, find clubs, like it can be an arts club or it can be a sports club. Maybe you play football. That is a great way to meet new people.
One of the things that I always like to think about, or that I always say to other people, is when you go into a new city, just do things that you like doing, because you will naturally end up meeting people that also share that interest with you, and then it's going to be much easier to bond. And then another thing is work colleagues. Work colleagues are the best way to end up meeting different people in London, because there's a culture of going for a drink after work on a Friday or on a Thursday. So when you do that, sometimes people join groups, and that's going to be a much easier way to get to know people.
And the final tip is sometimes locally in your neighborhood, you can sign up to activities, especially if you've got kids. This is a great way to meet other families, and yeah, check with your local council because they are most likely organizing events that you can attend for free.
Absolutely. So yeah, this was pretty much everything that we had planned for today's video. Now, we could talk about schools, we could talk about bringing your pets to the UK, we can talk about so many more things, but we decided to focus on these specific points. So if you want to hear more about any topic in specific, or if you want us to expand into one of the topics that we covered, make sure to leave a comment or let us know.
Yeah, you can sign up for free on matuto.com, and in there you can reach out to us as well if there is anything specific we can help you with on your move to London. We hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Again, as always, thank you so much for watching. We are excited to share more of the city of London with you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what you want to see next of London.
Thank you again for watching, and we will see you in our next video.